moving along. Let's bring him in. 804. Let's see. My switchboard is just going wacko tonight. 804, you there?
Hello?
Hey, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hello?
Do you read me?
Hello?
804, you there?
I
Hello?
am. Hello?
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going? What's your name?
I'm Teresa Kowalski. How you doing?
Hey, Teresa. Doing good. Welcome to the show.
I'm in Hopewell, Virginia.
Wow. All right. Wow, that's cool. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes,
Thanks for calling.
Well, thank you. I didn't actually have an encounter, but I had some pictures. I tried to send them to you through the internet, but I'm kind of new at all this. But I definitely got a picture of it, and it was very odd. It was over the plants here where I live. I live in Hopewell. It's a little plant community. It's a very small town. And I'm always watching the skies. I've always been a believer. And I saw it, and I just happened to get a picture of it before dawn. And it's something I think you might be interested in. And I'd really love to send it to you. And I have tried, but I didn't get a response back. But the picture's pretty decent.
All right. Oh, what do you think it was? I know with the naked eye you can tell that it wasn't an aircraft or a drone that you're aware of.
Well, I had I do have a laptop. I had a Samsung, and I took a picture of it. And it was a really bright star at first. And then I took the picture, and when I came in and I, brought it up bigger on the laptop, I mean, you can actually see the antenna on top of this thing, and it's like a gold color. It's certainly not anything that I have seen in the skies before.
So let me ask you this question, just a little bit off subject. Do you believe NASA's telling us the truth in regards to this possible visitation from aliens? Do you think if they knew, would they tell us?
No, I don't think they would tell us if they knew. No, absolutely not.
What makes
I really
you say
don't,
that?
unfortunately.
What do you think would change if they did tell us?
Well, the people that aren't somewhat awake, which I am just now starting to wake up a little bit to all this stuff, they would panic and then call everybody kooks, of course. But I do believe that we have something coming, and it's very close because there's been a tremendous amount of sightings. And just in one generation since I was born in 1964. I'd say since 1942 till now, and just a short span of time, look how far we have come with the internet and everything else. Technology had to come from somewhere, and that's an awful fast amount of time for us to evolve.
It is, and it is actually quite amazing, this technology that we're living in. But what about this thing that we don't go to the moon anymore? President Obama says we've been there, and we're going to be in Mars, and probably we should have been there in 5 years from now. But now it's going to be like another 20 or 30 years. So all this technology.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But now we're not even moving on this stuff.
No, that's crazy. They have other plans. Sorry.
Would you agree if the government said, okay, we're going to go to Mars, we're going to do this stuff, but it costs so much money? Right now we're only spending apparently I bet you we've already been there. Otherwise it's just this doesn't make sense.
No, it does not make any sense. And they couldn't even get through the Kuiper belt in outer space. There's so much radiation, a human can't even get through that to get to Mars. They had to send the robot thingy up there to try to get on Mars and take pictures. And sometimes I don't even think they're real pictures coming from there. I mean, I'm a kook, I guess.
Well, you have to have an open mind. And let me tell you, the evidence is there. I'm not sure. I'm not going to give any opinions, but all I'm saying is it doesn't make much sense that we as the world we don't want to go to these other planets. We're not demanding this, and we don't want to spend money on this stuff. Maybe we've already been there through hyper jumps, interdimensional time jumps.
Very possible.
There.
The Mandela effect is definitely something that's going on.
The Mandela effect?
Yes, dimensional jumps, absolutely.
We've heard about this. We've heard about the interdimensional jump. We've been on location right here in Los Angeles where they apparently have the jump room to Mars, and people say Obama's been there. So obviously they're not going to spend any kind of money to build all these dumb rockets if we've already been there and back, and it doesn't cost much. It's basically free.
Hey, you're right. They say Obama was a child in another dimension, and he jumped here when he was a little boy. I've heard that on several different websites and stuff I look at.
You just never know. There's so much energy. People are excited about things, and you never know what rubs off. Just today we met somebody that says their son's a clairvoyant, and that they can talk with dead people. And read people's minds. And I asked that person, do you believe this? And they're like, you just never know. You just never know. We're going to bring another caller. Stand on the line.
Okay, and thank you so much for taking my call.
Hey, no problem. Hey, thanks for the conversation.
Anytime. You have a good day, evening.
We will. Appreciate it. Let's bring in 731. You there?
Yeah, this is Johnny. How you doing, Blake?
Hey, Johnny. Where are you calling in from, Johnny?
Calling in, well, I'm not calling in for where I had the experience, but West Tennessee.
West
Henderson.
Tennessee. Okay. Appreciate it. So we're going to hear an experience? I love this stuff.
Well,
for calling in.
Okay, I'm going to tell you how it happened. I had this 2.5-month-old puppy in it, needed to go outside one night at like 2 in the morning. And we walked out to the pond, and he was doing his business, but he was looking over his shoulder and above my head, past me. I was like, what is this dog looking at? And I turned around, and over my neighbor's house was a black triangle. And it had a blue beam, or how can I explain it? The whole house was engulfed in like a blue glow. And I saw this thing in detail. And I looked at it, I'm like, this is crazy.
This sounds good so far. Go ahead.
But I was looking at it, and I guess, I don't know, I feel like it must have seen me looking at it. And that blue glow that was around the house, is illuminating it. It lifted up, like if you lift up a garage door and went back up into the bottom of that triangle. And then it just barely moved, and all of a sudden, I did not blink. It was gone. It turned into a speck of light in the sky. And, I was like, man, that was crazy.
And your dog actually gave you the hindsight to look up.
Yeah. He was looking at something in the air, and, and look, this thing was a little darker than the night sky. And it had like 3 amber lights in each corner on the bottom. The bottom was kind of recessed up. And in the very center was like, it looked like a dome. But that's where like the blue light was coming down from. And then the sides, I could only see I call it like the back side and the side I was seeing. It was like 150 foot. Each side was about that long and probably about 40 foot high. But it had like piping and ductwork and stuff. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like a Borg ship from Star Trek: The New Generation. And I was looking at it. It was just like if you go outside and see a Lamborghini sitting in your driveway. You know it's there, but you don't know why. Do you think it's one of ours or them out there? No. There was no sound. It didn't make any. It was gone. If I had to blink my eyes, I wouldn't have seen it leave. But I should have started with the last first. That night that it happened, I don't remember it until that morning when my boss picked me up. We had a mobile body shop, and we were going down the interstate, and he threw a cigarette butt out the vent window, and it went at like a 45-degree angle in front of the van. It just shot out real fast. And when it did that, I saw it do that. That's when everything came back to me what happened that night.
Curious. So was your friend a part of it? There's a connection with that?
No. And I've never talked to the neighbors about it either. And this happened back in 2003.
Do you think if you told your neighbors about your experience, did they think we're bringing the word up? Do you think they'd be a kook?
No, you know what I think? I think they probably know something's going on with them, and they don't realize that I've seen what is happening or something. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They're cool people.
I believe you. I think what you saw is a classic, basically a TR-3B. Maybe something alien reversed, government engineered. It's a classic.
I've never seen nothing like that in my life. And I mean, I was like maybe 300 feet from it, because that's about how far their house was. And it was bigger than their house. It was right at like treetop level. And I mean, I could see it. I mean, once I saw it, I saw it. And I just kind of, I stood there and looked at it, and I'm like, man, I cannot believe this.
Let me ask you this. So, you followed NASA, I'm sure, since a young boy. Do you believe everything they tell us?
No.
You used to believe, right?
Well, when I was born in '68. And I think I remember, I mean, I was young, but I think I remember seeing live on TV in black and white, them on the moon at one point or something. And I asked my mom, what's that? And she goes, well, they're on the moon. And I remember them, at night pointing at the sky and saying, we got people on the moon. I mean, I remember, but things have gotten crazy now, and a lot of things is really happening, and they're just trying to keep it quiet.
All right, man. Well, shoot. It's amazing that people call in from around the world. And we're not getting the answers.
When I was even younger, I actually saw a disc one time. And it caught I was riding a mini bike, and something shined real bright, and I looked up, and in the sky was this wobbling disc. But it was shiny like a mirror, and it had a black dome on it, and on the very bottom it was flat, except for the only way I can explain it is if you took like blocks and put them in a ring. And it was wobbling, and I saw that. So I've seen two different kinds that are not, neither of them made noise.
You're a lucky kind of guy, man. Most people don't get to experience just one. And that's why there's so many skeptics out there. They're so jealous.
I know what I've seen. I know it's real, and I don't. And it wasn't from this world. I know that, because there's no way. This thing did not have a panel. The disc one did not have it was just like one shiny chrome mirror with a black dome on the top. And then, a little protrusion on the flat bottom of like a ring. It was slotted. I don't know how to explain it, but it was wobbling, and we thought it was trash land. We're like 10 years old.
You're saying where? Who's we?
Well, they didn't see it, but I told them about it, and we got our walkie-talkies together, and we're going to head out into the woods where we thought it might have went down.
Yeah.
And all our batteries died in our walkie-talkies.
All right. Now, this is where I'm going to tell my radio show tonight when I put it up on YouTube. Exactly where was this?
This all happened in the Oakland, Tennessee area.
Oakland, Tennessee?
I mean,
what year?
I can really jump off topic here and tell you I actually saw a Bigfoot once, and it was crazy.
I don't want a possible, metallic disc crash over Oklahoma.
What?
What date was this? Oakland,
this,
excuse me.
Yeah, in Oakland. I don't know if it crashed, but it was just wobbling real bad when it went by. And as far as I could see, after it went past the trees, I couldn't see it anymore. But I don't know if it crashed or not, but I just know it was wobbling. And I know it wasn't, it wasn't an airplane at all. I mean, it was close enough I could see it. It was only maybe 500 foot above the ground, it was. I'd say it might have been like 75 foot across.
Amazing, amazing. Let me see this. I'm looking at some flash chat here, so I'm looking at this stuff, and it's amazing. People are talking. People want to, I like Rocky Metcalf. Flip it for you, Corey, Alfred, even Bradford Blair. He's got some fun statements every once in a while. Hey, thanks, Billy Hassett, for typing in, joining the conversation right here at Third Phase of Moon. You know what? We're going to take a little break. We're going to do this, and we'll see if we can make this work, because it doesn't look like it's working. There's so much weird stuff going on in the studio right now. It keeps getting crazier by the minute. I'm going to refresh the flash chat right here. See what happens. See what happens, because, I've got to fill in, because this is uncensored. This is just raw. We don't screen our calls. People say, you got to screen your calls. Screen them. Because could you imagine we didn't have to listen to that last person? No, hold on a sec. You just never know what you're going to hear. So that's why we do this. We let it roll. So what we're going to do is just let it roll. Let's bring in more callers. No breaks. Let's see who's here. We got a 443 here, but let's see. There was an anonymous caller. If you need to share your story, the number to call in right now is 347-934-0378. Let's roll with this. Let's roll. I think we got an 864. 864, you there? We're live, Third Phase of Moon. Do you read me? I guess not. Let's bring in. There's so many. My interface is just messed up, people. Maybe too many callers? Let's see. There's somebody that's been hanging on for let's bring in 918. 918. Do you read me right here?
Yeah.
We're live.
Yeah, hey, buddy.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Hey, this is Black Sheep, and I've been trying to get a hold of you for a while on the radio show because I've been wanting to tell my story. And I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I have a potential alien abduction story. I don't remember seeing aliens, but I do remember chasing a craft one night down Highway 50 just outside of Collinsville, Oklahoma. And I had my family in the car. My wife was sleeping in the passenger seat, and my son was about a year old in the back seat in a car seat. And I seen these lights off the edge of the highway, probably about 100 yards over some tree lines. And there's a whole bunch of cattle ranches in this whole area. And I thought they were weird because the way they were hovering, it looked like a helicopter, but it wasn't, because the closer I got to it, the lights were way too bright. I started thinking, maybe this is government. Maybe this is a Black Hawk helicopter with some special lights or weapons on it or something. And what I realized was it wasn't anything that I'd ever seen before. It was circular in shape, and it had these weird glowing lights. They would fluoresce orange to a blue color. And basically, as I got closer to it, I couldn't tell if the lights were orange or blue. It's like they were flashing back and forth. It was at the bottom of the spacecraft, and they went all the way around it. Now, I did some research on UFOs, and back in 1996, there was one captured on film, and it looked exactly like it during when Clinton was in office. And it had these orange lights all the way around it. What I noticed was that the orange lights went from orange, like this real bright orange color, to this blue color. And I've also seen them go from blue to white. And what was weird was this thing took off probably about 100 miles an hour down this field. And it was the same direction I was traveling down the highway. So I thought, okay, I'll catch up to this thing. No big deal. I got to get a closer look, because I didn't believe what I was seeing. So I sped up about 80 miles an hour, which I normally wouldn't do with my kids in the car. But anyways, sped up to about 80 miles an hour, and I caught up to it. It was about 5 miles away, and it had stopped. And it was hovering over a field. about 100 yards away from the highway. And as I got up closer to it, my car started messing up. And it was like the engine just stalled. I was already in the shoulder, and the radio was making weird noises. The radio station wasn't working. I mean, all your classic symptoms of a abduction case here. And I know this sounds ironically strange to the Betty and Barney Hill case, but that's exactly what happened. At this point, I'm curious. You know, I see these lights. This thing's only 100 yards away from me. So I'm a ballsy kind of person, so I got out of the car. I walked around the front side of the hood, and as I got up to the grass, I noticed the grass was real tall. And I'm looking at this object, and I started having, like, second thoughts. You know, I was like, no, maybe I should just get back in my car. My kid's in the car. I shouldn't be doing this. You know, what happens if it really is? So then, basically what happened was, all I remember was getting back into my car, trying to start my vehicle, and the engine wouldn't start. So then, basically, I went up, I got into my hood, I started checking battery connections, and what I realized was the craft was taking off. It was basically exiting, it was going the same direction it was moving already. It was going south towards Tulsa, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, what just happened? You know, I got it back in my car. It finally started after about 5 minutes. And I drove home that night, and when I got home that night, I asked my wife, I said, what time is it? She told me it was 11:30. And I'm thinking, that can't be right. She goes, yeah, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And it's like she didn't remember any of this. Well, basically, she went to bed, and we put the kids to bed, or well, the kid at the time, she was pregnant with my second. And Alyssa. Anyways, we put the kids to bed, and I realized it was almost midnight. Well, we had left Collinsville at about 8 o'clock. It was 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And it only takes 30 minutes to drive from Collinsville to where we lived in Tulsa. And it was then that I realized we were missing about 2.5 hours of time. Now, that was my first contact with any kind of UFO. And I don't remember anything on ship. It's not like the Travis Walton case or anything like that. But I can say I had one other, what I believe, a true abduction. It happened in my house one night about a year ago. And 2 years ago, I really started getting more involved in research because I started to question if I'd really been abducted by aliens, and I kind of contemplated whether or not to do the whole hypnosis regression. And I basically decided it's probably not a good idea to do it because I'm not sure I really want to know what happened to me, you know, because I've heard so many horror stories of people doing regression and then they find out the truth. And I've always been real hesitant to do that, so I've never done it. But I do remember a year ago, I don't sleep on my back or my belly. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning. My phone was stuck to my chest as if it had been sitting on my bed and I was placed on my belly, back in my bed. And I went out that morning. I got up. It was about 3 a.m. And later that day I went back to bed and I got up about 8 or 9 that morning. Went out to my car and I had a flashback deja vu memory. I remember looking up at the sky and seeing this light, but it was like it was 5 a.m. It was still dark outside. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. It was still dark outside when I had this memory. It was dark, but when I was out there and I remembered this memory, it was like 9 a.m., 10 o'clock, the sun was up. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, what's going on? When I put the key in my car door to open it, that's when I realized, you know, I had this memory. And later that day, I had these strange burn marks on my leg. They were like straps, but they felt electrical burns or something. And I didn't understand what had happened to me. I knew that I woke up with my phone. It was still on. Like I basically had disappeared, and it was still playing YouTube videos because I watch a lot of them. And it was hot. It was burning my chest. And I never sleep on my belly because I can't. Like physically, I can't because it hurts my back. And you know, I'm like 41 years old. I can't sleep on my belly at all. And I remember waking up that night, and I was thinking, this is so weird. And then later that day, I realized I had these burns on my legs. They were real light to the touch. They weren't like heavy burns. They just felt like almost like electromagnetic burns or something. It was just very strange. And I'm convinced they visit more people than we realize. I'm convinced that they abduct more people than we realize.
Moderated. You there?
You still there, Blake?
I'm here, man. I'm just. This is amazing. I gotta tell me more. What?
Well, Blake, here's the thing, man. I've been researching this.
I gotta appreciate you calling in. Go ahead.
I've been researching this topic for about 15 years, and it started with 3 books in a library, a Tulsa library. And, one of them was Area 51, and a couple of them were alien abductions, and one of them was a UFO sightings all across the world. And I had started researching these, and, they even go back to these tripod landings over in Holland and Germany, and where the grass was burned, and there's all kinds of evidence out there, and just people just need to look for it. I mean, the government suppresses it, but it's clear there's something going on. There's no way you can deny it if you use your brain and just do a little research. The moon landings were completely fake. I'm convinced of that.
You're breaking up a little bit. Can you get a little closer to the microphone? Whatever you call it, whatever device. But let me ask you. So this seems like you're chasing UFOs. You've had close encounters with maybe you've been abducted. Have you had any hypnotic regression? What's your family think?
That's the thing. I'm scared to do it, Blake, because I'm a grown man. I'm 41 years old, and I'm scared to do it because I'm not sure I want the images of them in my mind. And they've suppressed my mind and my memory of any encounter that I know of. So if they've been abducting people and they're basically using technology to suppress your memories, apparently it works very well. And I don't have any, like physical memories of the beings themselves or whether they were military. I couldn't tell you, whether they were extraterrestrial or maybe they were, I don't know. I just don't know. But I fear it because I'm not sure I want the memories of what really happened on that spacecraft. I'm convinced they were there cattle mutilating, okay, because there's so many cattle in this area that I couldn't think of what else they might be doing there. And the idea of, what they did with me, it just scares me.
So you think these guys aren't too friendly?
No, I'm not convinced they all are. I'm sure some of them aren't. I'm sure some of them are here to help us, and they work with our governments. A lot of the research and the people in our field in ufology believe this. They say, I have insiders, and they say, we're working with them on free energy, and we've had it for years, but they're trying to basically progress our humanity's, evolution to where we're ready for this technology, because it can be very dangerous when it falls into the wrong hands.
This is amazing. Because
and then you also have these big wigs. You have these big tycoons. These people in the petroleum industry controlling everything between war and minerals, planet. You have this big struggle for power. Okay, and if you have billions and billions and trillions of dollars tied up into minerals like petroleum and all these oil refineries that produce jobs, what would happen if you basically released free energy tomorrow, Blake?
Absolutely. The world just...
it would shut down the economy. It would totally shut down the economy because we wouldn't need oil. We wouldn't need natural gas. Free energy is real. Tesla was working on it. I believe he was given alien technology by the government, ancient technology that they found probably buried in the Hollow Earth. I mean, I believe the Hollow Earth theory is correct. I believe when Admiral Byrd went up to Antarctica, he experienced extraterrestrial, but they weren't extraterrestrial. They were terrestrial, and they were hostile.
Oh, yeah. This is a great story, and, it's just the information is coming in. It's just hot, and it's real. It's from the public. Thanks for calling in and sharing your incredible story. What other details do you have in your encounter that maybe you missed?
I can tell you one thing that I believe they've taught me, and it's the spiral. It's basically not. It has to do with coil technology, but it also has to do with metaphysical medicine, like meditation. I believe chakra is real. I believe karma and energy is correct. The thing that they're teaching me, I believe, is positive energy. You have to put off positive energy towards other people to regain positive energy back. It's just like do as to others as you would have them do unto you, but it's on a higher level. It's more or less you go around, you tell jokes, you make people happy, and then what you realize is you get this positive energy back. And it has to do with the unity circle. Have you ever heard of it? It's the circle around the yin and the yang, the good and the evil, but it's actually the circle around both. And the unity has to do with the shape. It's a circular shape, and that shape, I am convinced, harnesses a lot of answers to many things in the universe. It's that circular shape, and they call it, what do they call it? Some kind of energy, but it's a positive energy, and it's very important to the planet because when we start to lose this energy, bad things happen.
Could it be?
And that's hard, that's hard to understand, but
sure.
They had basically. I started cutting gemstones, and I cut the most beautiful, perfect circular gemstones with about 112 facets on them. And I did it literally with $400 in my pocket, And now when I find a gemstone, I can put a perfect cut on it, and it's almost like they've taught me geometry. They've taught me so many things later in life that, I just didn't learn earlier in life. I didn't really go to school for it. Now, I did some research online, of course, but the fact that I'm so gifted at it is unreal. I mean, and now I have purpose in my life. And I never understood that because before I went around and it was like I was lost. And I went from job to job to job, and I was never happy,
I got you. Hey, guess what? You know what? There's so many people that got to call in. I appreciate it. Man, could you imagine what we're getting right here? There's people that are claiming this kind of stuff, and it's not a joke. It's real. I don't want to be rude cutting the guy off, but I got to get more callers in. We only got so much time. So I got to thank people for calling in because waiting around. Let's see if we could get another incredible experience right now. We'll see if we could bring him in. Again, I'm being hacked here. I don't know what's going on. Los Angeles, please let it go. Let's bring him in. Oh, my God. We're going to try one more time. 561. Hello? 561, you there?
Hello.
Blake? Area code 561. Blake? You there?
Hello, Blake. Cousin?
Yeah, this is Blake. There's a lot of static coming in. Yes. Okay, we're all good. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've been seeing this MUFON, actually encounters and stuff. And one of them was about a triangle-shaped UFO, and the other they seen in Orlando and one. And here in St. Lucie, of course, St. Lucie, Florida, of course, and also when I was going down, Interstate 95, I saw a white, looked like a white colored UFO. It was white, circular. Like, it looked like a flying saucer beneath the clouds. And basically, it just looked, because it was camouflaged. But anyway, it was small and, so.
Wow, that's incredible. There's so many people calling in, and I don't know if we're getting feedback on what's going on. What the heck is going on? I'm going to refresh this. I'm going to refresh it. Stand by. Hold on a sec.
Blake just saying, Blake's cousin, so a lot of investigators.
So when's the last time you saw a UFO?
When going down the Interstate 95, heading towards Jupiter, of course, saw a white, looked like a white craft. But okay, a TR-3B, a hypersonic spacecraft can go to the speed of light.
Okay, I gotta kill it. There's so much bad sound coming in. So much bad sound. We're gonna bring in 7. Let's see. Let's bring in 731.
Oh, that's me again, Blake.
Oh, it's back. We're back on you. Well, stand by, 731. There's just so much stuff going on. You hear all that?
I was just listening. Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay, stand by. This is, somebody wants to call in 780, area code 780. You want to call into Third Phase Moon? We're inviting you to call in 780. You got to do it. There's a lot of background noise. I think we figured it out. 780. The number to call in is 347-934-0378. We're broadcasting live, so as we do this, it is always kind of tricky. So I guess his name is Tom, and we'll keep his identity as Tom. Come on, Tom. Do it. You got something to say? Let's call in. Is he going to do it? All right. In the meantime, let's go to area code 618. Let's see. 618, you there?
Yes, you bet, Blake. How you doing today?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, thanks for waiting, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. You asked me to call you back this week. I just wish that your show was running a little bit earlier so we could get a few more listeners, and I wouldn't have to stay up midnight in order to go to work at 5 in the morning.
Oh, no, 5 in the morning?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. If I had got on the show, if your show was an hour earlier, I could have actually live reported a sighting in the Joliet area. I'm not joking.
What did you see?
Moon started, when the moon started coming up, and this is something that's quite common, a lot of people see this often but dismiss it. There was 3 stars in a triangle pattern, but they were all the same intensity. They also were not flickering with the rest of the stars. They're having the same pattern, much like the orbs that you had for the mass sighting with 10 to 15 orbs that were, I can't remember where they were, but I've seen that video tonight. But they are completely stationary. The moon went ahead and rose through the actual triangle. I got on the phone. I'm actually south of Chicago in a town called Bolingbrook, and I got on the phone with a friend of mine in Chicago, and I asked him in order to take a look at the moon, and he was describing this as south east of him, the triangle, and was not centered on the moon. For me, it was due east, and that was how we identified the fact that it was not stars. What was odd about it is right when I was watching this, I noticed a chemtrail plane that was flying by in the middle of the night when they're supposed to be spraying this stuff during the day in order to reflect sunlight. So right after sunset, are you going to be having a chemtrail plane go by? And after your show started, I stepped out back, and I was hoping that I could still see it. And I noticed that all the chemtrails come together, and there was a complete fog between me and the moon, and then I looked at the horizon in the same direction, and there was an orb that moved, and this would have, excuse me, not been over a generally populated area. It's loosely populated for the immediate area there, and it was an orb that was moving, very bright, very noticeable. There was no flashing of navigation lights, which normally when you see them this low, there is some kind of a fakery or trickery that they're trying to do, but if you look at the pattern of the flashing, it's completely different from an airplane. And this one didn't have any flash whatsoever. It was moving from the south to the north, which means I should have been able to see the tail light and the wingtip, and it just simply wasn't there. It was moving moderately fast for being that low to the ground, and that's kind of what brought my attention to it almost immediately. It was about 4 times the brightness of the brightest star. Now, you've had a couple of call-ins tonight that really hit on topic for me. I tried to prepare something for you this week a little bit, and I will skip over the moon. Yeah, you expressed that you didn't want to talk about the moon tonight. But I will go ahead and skip over that. However, I do want to bring up 2 things. The gentleman that lost his time, dude, you also lost time when you were a kid. You have been abducted more than once, and the object of that was because your wife at the time was pregnant. You said that she was pregnant. You had children, multiple, or at least your first child in the car with you. I will tell you right now, you need to look at yourself. You're going to find a ice cream scoop taken out of your skin. When you first had this, it would act like a really light burn. It would have had a very thin scab across it, and if you bumped it, it would almost come off altogether. It leaves a ice cream scoop out of your skin. I have one. My wife has one directly between her eyes, about an inch above her eyebrows, centered in her head. My children, 2 of them have them. Both my male children have them. They were living with me when this happened, and I had noticed the scar on my youngest child and didn't think too much of it at the time that this happened because I was not fully studying at the time. And I recently, in the last 3 years, confirmed that both of them have them, including now my daughter. This is a procedure that has been reported in a lot of different UFO abductions and stuff like that. If you were laying on your back, any surface that is directly up, that's easily accessible, that you just simply walk by and give you a tap anywhere you want, you're going to find it, but you're not going to find it on your backside. It's always going to be with your palms down, your feet straight, and you're on your back. It just happens to be a convenient place where this happened. Mine is near my elbow on my right arm. My 2 sons is on the thigh, almost if you were laying on your back straight up. My daughter's is on her shoulder. Again, if she was laying on her back, it would be straight up. It was something that I've had to come to terms with. I do recommend doing regression. I attempted that. It was thwarted somehow. There are several that have been thwarted. I cannot remember the name of the book, but there was a lady that was attempting to go through regression. She went through multiple sessions. Finally, something took over her communication, and it turned out that she was acting as a proxy for a third party, which told the hypnotist, back off. That was the first session that the hypnotist had any actual success. There was 10 to 15 other regressions that he did after that. Finally, he was able to get them to talk to them. they imparted some wisdom. One of them was know yourself. They tried to describe a liquid that had no vibration, that it was pure. This liquid is being researched. We actually believe that this liquid is actually glass. And the reason why we say glass is because glass is actually a liquid. It's just extremely thick, and it takes maybe 10,000 years for it to completely puddle again. But if you look at some very, very old glass, you'll discover that you actually see streaks in the glass from it being vertical. It will distort the glass after time, maybe 100 years. So that's a curiosity we're still trying to answer. And we've discovered, and again, I wish I could remember the name of that book. But anyway, she was one of the abductees, and the fact that you started your research at the library, please continue. Going next to caller previous of that, dimensional. We have done a lot of study on this. Have you ever wondered how you can get 150 channels on just one wire in the ground on your TV?
What do you mean?
Like,
what do you mean?
Well, the problem a lot of people have trying to figure out, dimensions, they describe them in different ways, and it's actually very simple to describe. It's frequency. It's just simply changing a frequency. There is a common term that we're using right now that is called broadband. The reason why is because we can fit the information for more than one video with audio 3 or 4 times over in the broadband signal. Well, it takes only so much information and so much frequency bandwidth in order to transmit a single photograph or a video, and then accompanying that with audio. So you have this range of frequency that you're transmitting that over the internet, okay, that has to hold all that information. Believe it or not, reality is exactly the same way. And if you have studied anything with the esoteric or anything, you'll find out as above, as below, etc., so forth, is actually referring to channels, much like on a CV. If you've ever made the mistake of being on channel 17 or channel 20, or 18 or 20 on the road, and you have a trucker drive by you, you get all this bleed over from another channel. Well, in truth, your lowest frequency is actually fire. It's actually bleed over from a lower channel. Your highest frequency is light. Do you see the light? Yes, I see the light. This is also confirmed with a lot of the effect of the early Vril, because the light is actually seen at the bottom of the craft, but if you actually view the top of the craft, it's almost the deepest, darkest black that you can't even imagine if you were to actually.
Sure, I could understand that. There's so much information coming in, and you know what? The show is just about to end, but all I got to say is, there's so many people from around the world that got to get this stuff out. And I'm so happy that we could open up the lines every Friday night, and we'll be doing it twice, bi-weekly, twice a week actually, here pretty soon. When I get back to Hawaii, we're going to open up the lines probably Friday and Wednesday so we could get more information in, because it has to get out. It does. So amazing that people are around the world experiencing the same things over and over again, and the government doesn't want to step up to the fact that we are not alone, people. So let me tell you, keep your eyes on the skies. Stay tuned for our next episode when you're going to be meeting a family that's been abducted by aliens, and it's pretty heavy duty. Stay tuned for that. Blake Cousins, thanks everybody for joining us right here on the Flash Chat. Flip it for you. Appreciate it. Corey, Beyond the Omniverse, good job. Everybody, Richard, Weird Stuff, Tim Holland, everybody, stay tuned. Third Phase of Moon, Blake Cousins. We'll see you again next time.